Now at 9 o'clock, it is game day in the Queen City. We got you covered what you need to know before you head to the stadium to watch the Panthers take down the Seahawks.
Everybody's talking about it. It's the snow. This is a live picture up 77 near the Troutman exit there, and you can see the snow coming down. Roads are wet, but it could become slick. I'll tell you about that coming up.
This is WCNC NBC Charlotte Morning News.
Good morning, everyone. We are going to get right to our top story, which is the weather. This is video from about an hour ago in Davison, where you can see some of the snow coming down pretty fast. John Wendell is tracking your forecast on this football Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us here on NBC Charlotte. I'm Bora Kim alongside meteorologist John Wendell. And John, obviously we've seen a lot of the snow coming down. It is affecting obviously people who are on the roads this morning.
Right, you know, and 3 degrees has made a big difference. When it was 37, 38 degrees here in Charlotte, it was nothing but rain. Yeah. Our temperature dropped to 34, wow. And then it changed over to snow. The thing is, we're just above the freezing mark, so we're not seeing much in the way of any accumulation. This is outside our backyard on the Billy Graham Parkway. Getting some snow here, but as you can see, nothing accumulating on the grass or on the roads. It's basically your cars, your elevated surfaces, starting to see some of that accumulation. All right, here's a look at the radar. And as you can see here, we zoom into Mecklenburg County. It's a mixture of snow and some rain. Many locations reporting some brief heavy snow. And most of the snow has been to the north, while most of the areas to the south has been rain. Look over there at Gastonia, coming down a little bit harder. But as I zoom out, look at where the back edge is. You can see how that's moving closer. So give it another hour, maybe 2, and then that precipitation will be moving on out just in time for the game. Now, temperatures, you look at Charlotte, we're at 34 degrees, and then right along that I-40 corridor up through Salisbury, Statesville, then back to Hickory, you're flirting with 32 degrees. That's where we're seeing some of the snow on some of the grassy areas. But 35 degrees in Rock Hill, 35 also in Monroe, so I wouldn't expect much accumulation there. Uptown Charlotte getting a little bit of snow. So rain and snow for the next couple of hours, impact mainly on grassy surfaces, elevated surfaces, but it's all moving out by noon. I'll have the complete forecast coming up in just a little bit. But let's toss it out to Diana Rugg, who is out in, I'm thinking, Troutman with that picture.
Yes, the Troutman area. We're right on the exit, wow. Highway 21, 115 out here in Troutman. It is pretty snowy. Even a Florida girl can recognize what is falling from the sky. And I'll show you, I put my umbrella up just so you can see how quickly it accumulated on there. We were driving around the Troutman and Mooresville area, and we were running into folks who actually had about a 1/4 inch accumulation of snow on their cars. Talked to them, they said it didn't seem bad. They were a little surprised, but let's take a look out at the interstate, I-77, that is over here. You can see the exit ramps there. Those are the places that we're usually worried about in weather like this. As John was saying, the temperature drops about 34, 33 degrees. Once it gets to freezing, you might get a little bit of ice on there. So you have to be very careful when you're driving on the interstate this morning if you're coming down to the Carolina Panthers game. We know that it's going to be cleared out by game time, but we also know that you have to get there first, and mostly you have to get there early because security is still going to be tight. It's still an extraordinary event. I'm getting snowflakes on my eyelashes right now. I can tell you, as a Florida girl, I am not used to this, but we'll make the best of it because it is really coming down. If you're from this area, be careful, and it is snowing in Mooresville if you want to come take a look at it. We're live up near Troutman. Diana Rugg, NBC Charlotte.
All right, thank you, Diana, and please, drivers, take it very slow. Now, whether you are on the road or whether you're cheering the Panthers on in Uptown or just enjoying the long weekend, you can track the weather in your area by using our NBC Charlotte Weathercaster app. It is free and in your app store. Well, today is the day. The Panthers are taking on the Seattle Seahawks in just a few hours. At 1:05, they are kicking off in the divisional round. And the fans, of course, have been getting ready for today. NBC Charlotte's Kelsey Riggs is live at Bank of America Stadium. And Kelsey, what can we expect there on the field?
Well, you guys talked about what we're seeing. The biggest thing right now is this weather and the snow. We are here right now. They've got the tarp on the field, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And as you guys also mentioned, hopefully this will be clearing out shortly. By the time people get here, we should be seeing some much better weather. So Carolina getting ready to take on Seattle today. It is a matchup that just seemed pretty much destined to happen. The Panthers beat the Seahawks this season in Week 6, but their past history against Seattle in the playoffs isn't as good. The Seahawks knocked Carolina out last year on their way to winning a second straight division championship. The loss in Carolina's Week 6 win now, though, means nothing to the Panthers. They are just looking forward to playing a team that has already proved themselves in the playoffs.
You know, I like the attitude about wanting to play against the best. I mean, again, these guys are the defending NFC champs, and, you know, I think Josh Norman said it very well. If you want to be the champs, you got to be able to beat them. And so this will be a very good test for us. And I like our attitude about wanting to play against their best players.
So after a bye week, Carolina very ready for this matchup with the Seahawks. This is Carolina's third consecutive run in the playoffs. They say that their record so far in the playoffs isn't what they hoped that it could be. So they're hoping to change that this week. And I'm hoping that when you guys check in with us a little bit later, the snow will be out of here and it'll be a little bit warmer. Reporting at Bank of America Stadium, I'm Kelsey Riggs. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelsey. And of course, we are your Panthers headquarters for the big game today. We will have continuing coverage throughout the day. And after the game, be sure to tune in to our news at 6 o'clock for our post-game coverage. Oh, breaking while you were sleeping, we now know one of the Marines missing after a helicopter crash off the coast of Hawaii was from South Carolina. 22-year-old Jeffrey Sempler is one of the 12 Marines crews are now searching for. He's from Woodruff, South Carolina. That's about a half hour east of Greenville. As of yesterday morning, searchers have scoured more than 5,000 square nautical miles. The two helicopters were on a nighttime training mission when they collided midair. The crash was so unexpected, no Mayday calls were broadcasted. Both the Navy and the Coast Guard have resumed their search this morning. And on to a developing story from overnight. Right now, 4 robbers are on the run this morning after authorities say they held up a bank yesterday in Fort Mill. Detectives with the York County Sheriff's Department say 2 men and 2 women went into BB&T Bank on West Highway 160. They were armed and they were able to get away with some cash. No one was hurt, and if you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. In Lancaster County, Highway Patrol is investigating a crash that left 1 person dead. This happened late Friday night along Highway 200. And authorities say a car was trying to pass another vehicle in a no passing zone and hit another car traveling in the opposite direction. The victim in that vehicle was pronounced dead later on at the hospital. The driver, who troopers say caused this accident, was also taken to a hospital in the area, but no word yet on how they are doing. We now know one of the people killed in an attack on a hotel in West Africa was an American. We first brought you this story as breaking news yesterday morning. Mike Reddering from Florida was an American missionary. Officials say he was in the capital of Burkina Faso waiting for a group of missionaries to arrive. And that is when gunmen entered a popular restaurant and opened fire. At least 27 people were killed, and Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attack. This morning, 5 American prisoners are free after Iran released them from custody. One of those prisoners was a reporter with the Washington Post. It was announced yesterday in Vienna, the day Iran was welcomed back into international markets. Now, along with the reporter, a student, a former Marine, and a Christian pastor were among those released. In exchange, the United States agreed to drop charges against 7 Iranians imprisoned here in the U.S. Well, coming up, more than a few politicians make their way through the Carolinas, why South Carolinians booed Donald Trump when he took the stage. Well, welcome back, everyone. Let's take a live look at Boone, one of the first areas to see some snow this morning. Of course, the snow has been spreading all over through our area, and we are going to continue our team weather coverage throughout the morning as well. And in other news, a lot of presidential candidates in the Carolinas this weekend, some for the Democratic debate, others for the South Carolina Tea Party convention. And before getting to that convention, Republican candidate Ted Cruz spoke at a national security forum. He said Iran's decision to release the American prisoners is an answer to prayer, but he did blast President Obama for making a nuclear deal with Iran.
There may be some ugly parts of this deal that we don't know about yet. So we should withhold judgment, but right now I give thanks that the Americans are coming back, and this should have happened a long, long time ago.
Cruz went on to say if he is elected president, the leader of Iran will never have nuclear weapons. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and Martin O'Malley will all meet on the debate stage for the first time in the election year tonight. Now, right now, the competition between Sanders and Clinton in Iowa is pretty much neck and neck. But nationally, she has a 25-point lead or 2-point lead over Sanders. Now, O'Malley has been trailing far behind in the polls from the beginning. Now, NBC News is co-sponsoring the debate, so you can watch it tonight right here on NBC Charlotte.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist John Wendell. Some rain, some snow falling across the area, and at times that snow comes down really hard, starts to cover the ground just a little bit in some spots. Let's go out to Statesville, and as you can see, the snow coming down there out at the Randy Marion dealership up there, and it does seem to be covering the cars. The roadways seem to be pretty good. They were treated yesterday, and it does look like it's starting to accumulate on some of the grassy surfaces. Now let's take a look at some of the pictures we've received from some of our first warned storm spotters, and this one's Bill Johnson. He's up in the Statesville area. He sent in this picture. As you can see, though, the roads are wet, but it is starting to accumulate on some of the grassy areas. This one comes to us from Steve Monday, our storm spotter up there in the Salisbury area. You can see the snow starting to cover some of the rooftops there. J.W. Crosby over in Olin sent in this picture, and you can see some of the snow on some of the grassy areas there. And Bobby Upton sent in this picture. He's one of our storm spotters, again, in the Statesville area, and the snow covering some of the elevated surfaces across the area. But once again, the roads are in pretty good shape. The road to ground temperatures have been above the freezing mark, so a lot of that has been melting as it's been hitting the roadways. Now, we go up to Boone, still seeing a few flurries up there, but the snow is starting to wind down up through the high country, and I'll show you why. First of all, though, you see the rain, snow over Mecklenburg County, and it's mainly snow, but it has been mixed in with some rain. Here's the back edge of the precipitation, and that's all moving our direction. We zoom in to Mecklenburg County. You go from uptown, up 77 through Mooresville, Troutman, the Statesville, coming down pretty good at times. Then you go down to the south, and it's more of a mixture of rain and snow, and the same thing holds true if you go east of town, more of a mixture. But we put it all in the motion, and this is over a 2-hour period. And you can see how fast the back edge is moving closer. So give it another hour, maybe 2, before this precipitation moves on out. So temperatures right now are just above the freezing mark. 34 in Charlotte, 32 degrees Statesville, 33 degrees in Hickory. If there's going to be any travel problems, I think it's to the north on back roads that just weren't covered with the brine, the salt areas, but up in the mountains they're seeing a little bit of icy conditions. Now, forecast for the Panthers game, next couple of hours we still have the rain-snow mix across the area, but as we get into the afternoon, temperatures do warm into the 40s, and hopefully we could see a little bit of sunshine for the game. So how much snow is expected? Not a lot until you get to the foothills and into the mountains with elevation. You know, from, say, Troutman up to Statesville, extending back down to Lincolnton, Shelby, mainly on grassy surfaces in Salisbury. I don't think there'll be too much here in Charlotte. I think maybe on cars and things like that. But then you go up into the mountains, there may be a couple of inches of snow. So impact is mainly snow across the area. Ice is not a problem. Slick roads on roads that haven't been treated, especially up toward the I-40 corridor north of that, and power outages obviously not a problem. Now, there is a winter weather advisory in effect for the mountain communities until the noon hour, and it's mainly for higher elevations. Here's the storm system, and there it goes. And by 6 o'clock, it's well east of us, and you can see the clearing across the area, and that's why we're thinking afternoon is going to be just fine. The thing is once this storm moves out, here comes the cold weather for tomorrow and for Tuesday and even for Wednesday. We'll see sunshine, but it will be very, very chilly. Here's the forecast then. For the mountains, we're expecting temperatures right around 34 degrees up in Boone. I think the snow seems to be coming to an end, but anywhere from a ½ inch to about 3 inches, depending on your elevation of accumulation. Temperatures low 40s across the foothills, and I think your snow will be coming to an end. Give it another hour or so. Here in Charlotte, high temperature this afternoon, 46 degrees. Rain, snow this morning, and then some partial clearing this afternoon. I think what's going to happen is maybe for the next 2 hours, we'll see that rain, snow continuing. It'll last a little bit longer in the eastern part of our viewing area, but we should see some clearing there as well. So your next 7 days, 45 today, rain and snow this morning, then some clearing this afternoon. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, high temperatures only in the 30s, but check out that low temperature Tuesday morning down to 18 degrees. Let's go out to Diana Rugg, who's up in the Statesville, Troutman area, and it looks like it's coming down pretty good up there.
It is, John. It's snowing pretty heavily out here, and these are not just the little flakes that we saw earlier in Davidson. These are a little bit fatter and a little bit faster. We've been checking with the North Carolina Highway Patrol and some of the local law enforcement. They said there are no problems on the roads yet. We see cars out here going by pretty quickly, and they're doing okay. The roads are just merely wet. We do, though, see a lot of accumulation on cars and things like the mulch, the grass, even some of these posts out here that have a little bit of snow accumulated on them. We didn't expect to see much except for on the grass. But again, the roads are wet, and a couple degrees difference might mean that some of that turns to ice. So be careful if you're driving out here. We're live in Iredell County. Diana Rugg, NBC Charlotte. Now, Bora, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Diana. Well, coming up, just how committed a Panthers fan are you? We'll show you the lengths one fan went to show his fandom. That story coming up next in sports. But before we go, we are checking in with Chef Jenny Brule. Hey, on a day like this, on a blistery day like this, which also happens to be game day, she has the perfect recipe. What are you making for us today?
I am going to make smoked sea hawk stew.
Ah.
And it's hard to come by sea hawk, but I hunted it myself.
You
and
did?
Yeah, I did.
How does one go about hunting a sea hawk?
Oh, it's easy to do. They're stupid birds, so it's very easy. They're actually extinct now, so we can use turkey if we need to.
Yeah, there's plenty of it. Right?
Yeah. But they're very easy to cook. Extremely.
Easy to cook,
yeah.
30 minutes
Easy
or
to
less.
catch.
That is always the challenge every week, and you deliver.
Yes, this one will be a little healthy with some black beans and some butternut squash. So this is perfect to warm you up inside and out.
Yes, that's for sure. And we'll check back with Jenny throughout our newscast.